Everybody, how's it going? Happy Sunday, the 26th of February to you, 2023. Hope everybody's doing well. Pardon me while my eyes are darting around. I got a lot of controls to run. But if you guys can let me know if you can hear me, see me okay, that would be very helpful. All right, David. Thank you, David Stanchevsky, saying loud and clear. Jason C wants to hear some drag screaming soon. Yeah, I don't blame him. Nyson Mead's here. He's a moderator. Good to see you, Nyson. Also an Army member. Ramiro Capetillo, good to see you also. Fishhawk. Fishhawk, nope. I choose the music, man. You're stuck with whatever I want to choose. You don't like it? Don't know what to tell you, man. Just Pro saying Lima Charlie, loud and clear. Good. Good to hear. Would you prefer like death metal or something like that? Okay, cool. Anyway, thanks everybody for being here. I see a lot of Army members on here. I see Pat Enos on here, Mark Pearson. Let me scroll back, take a look through. Jeff Kinney, Bill Gerlach, loud and clear from MPLS. That's cool. Fishhawk, Ramiro Capetillo, Jason C. And a lot of familiar faces here tonight. Ben Wheaton, Jason Robinson, Jim Dabrowski from TC. Very good to see everybody. Hey, take a moment if you don't mind and answer this week's poll question. I'm always looking for input for upcoming shows, and I like doing it this way. It gives you a voice in this whole channel. This week's poll question is, what are you looking for in next week's topic? Must-have spin doctors, must-have spoons, must-have meat rigs, or how to set up a ninja board. And right now, with almost 80 votes, 47% of you people want must-have spoons next weekend. Okay, we'll check back on that here in a little while. It's no problem. Pop that out of the way, make sure I can see what's going on here. Josh Sopchek from Racine, Wisconsin, home of the Salmonorama. Wisconsin's got some good tournaments over that way. I've always thought about wanting to taking the boat across and doing a few of those. Yeah, maybe someday. But anyway, welcome to the live stream, everybody. We do this every Sunday night. All these live streams proudly brought to you by DREAMWEAVER Lures. Check them out at dreamweaverlures.com. The link is down in the description. Best stuff on the Great Lakes. My name is Chris. I run Dark Blue Charters here in Manistee, Michigan for salmon and trout. And this is Tangle Tackle. This is a great channel if you're looking to learn a few new things about salmon and trout, fishing the big lakes. Really, a lot of these techniques transfer to a lot of other places. So I think you're going to enjoy what you find here. If you're brand new, I just want to say hello and welcome to the channel. Josh Gorchak just joined the Army. Good to see you, Josh. Thanks for being an Army member. I appreciate that. That pops up. I can see it right there. All right. So tonight's topic is how to find a starting point out on the big lakes. And we'll talk about a few other things first. We'll talk about the fishing report, and we'll get into the topic. But really, this, when I was bass fishing a lot, and walleye fishing, pike fishing, pan fishing even, big lake fishing is a complete different animal when finding fish than inland lake fishing. With inland lakes, you can look at a topo map, and you can say, okay, there's structure, there's logs, there's submerged docks, there's a drop off, there's weed beds. It's just completely different when you're comparing one of the Great Lakes to an inland lake, just as far as structure is concerned, amongst a myriad of other things. So it's going to be a good topic tonight. I'm going to give you a lot of the things that I look at, and the way I'm going to present this to you is if I was really just getting to a body of water I'd never fished before, the things that I would be doing, the things that I would be looking at, trying to determine where I might be going the next day or that afternoon or the following morning or whatever. So that's the way I'm going to go about this. I'm also looking for feedback from everybody on here as usual. There's a lot of experienced anglers on here, and a lot of people can take some really good information home with them from a lot of people on here, not just me. I've said this before. I'm not the best. Just because I run a charter does not make me the best in any way. Anybody can be the best on any given day. So I'm always looking forward to hearing from other people. I see that Mandy Argetsinger and Scott Argetsinger on here. Good to see you, Mandy. Hi back to you, Scott. Good to see you. Scott Argetsinger is the the manager down at Dreamweaver Lures. If you have any questions regarding Dreamweaver, Scott's also a charter captain. He puts some great input in here. If you got any questions for Dreamweaver or just other things in general, hey, reach out to Scott. He's right on here. He's happy to answer any questions, as well as Nyson Mead's on here as well, another moderator. Scott and Nyson are both moderators. Nyson works at Tangled Tackle and Manistee. And I'll say this one more time for the record. I do not work at Tangled Tackle. Tangled Tackle, the owner and I are best friends. We've known each other for a long time, and I love supporting the shop. He supported me in my endeavors for a long, long time, and in turn, I want to support his endeavors for a long, long time as well. So Nyson Mead is employed at the shop. If you got any questions regarding Tangled Tackle, shipping, orders, things on sale, whatnot, Nyson's on here. He's happy to help out. The only thing I'm going to throw out there, please, if you have questions regarding anything, we always open this up at the end for Q&A. But a couple extra things I'm doing now. Nyson Mead, you threw me a super chat. Nyson, I mean, you're nice, man. Nyson's a nice guy. Thanks for throwing me a super chat. I got to get the super chat reel. All right, somebody wanted to hear some real screaming a little while ago. Here you go. Anytime anybody throws a super chat on here, you can do so by just clicking on the little dollar sign down in the chat on the lower side. Anybody that throws a super chat on gets to hear the real screams. So Nyson, thank you for doing that, man. And I'm sure that everybody liked getting their eardrums blown out by that as well. Okay. So where I was going on that. So a couple new things we're doing on the channel. You can see that we do these every night at 7 p.m. I'm going to open up the chat always about 10 minutes early. That way people can come on here early. They can talk to one another, introduce themselves. They can go on the poll, answer the poll question for the week. And I'll clip that off. When this goes to YouTube production, I'll clip off that 10 minutes so people don't have to wait for that thing to get through, or they don't have to fast forward. You know, it's a lot of trouble clicking a button these days. So I don't want people to suffer. I will trim that off so you don't have to sit through that. And then at the end of the show, I tried this out a couple days ago. At the end, it will go to a different screen. The live chat will still be live, but we'll be in a different screen where we can chat just like we're doing right now down on the keyboard. So I'll stick around on there for as long as people have questions or for as long as I can. And it'll be a great way for us to communicate back and forth as well. And don't forget, become a member of the Tangled Tackle Army. Jump on our private Discord channel. That's a lot of fun. I've been having a blast on there, talking to a lot of really nice people about a lot of really, really cool stuff. All right, what's going on here in the chat? Jason C. Saying thanks for the drag upgrade video that Scott and I did. You're welcome, man. That was a lot of fun. Scott put out a lot of really good information on that. And don't forget about the 5 new salmon trolling flies contest we got going on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please jump into the channel. Just look through the last couple of weeks. You'll find that video. Ryan Art, hey, back to you, man. Open Water Mike. Is Open Water Mike on here? I see somebody saying hey to him. Jason C. is, so he must be. He's on here all the time also. Phil Quinn's on here. Patrick Forster's on here. Good to see everybody. All right. So let's do the fishing report, and then we'll move on from there. All right, fishing report coming up.
You don't see that every day.
All right, that's the new media for the fishing report. What did everybody think of that? I hope it worked. Yeah, okay. All right, fishing report for the area around here. Ice fishing, going quick. And by quick, I mean the ice is going quick. We've had a pretty decent cool down here over the last few days, but that's going to go that's going to go bye-bye here pretty darn fast. We're going to get up in the mid-30s and up into the 40s over the next couple of weeks. And past that, I don't know how much longer that ice is going to hold on, if at all. So if you're going out ice fishing, please be mindful of the ice and deteriorating conditions quickly. I don't have much information as far as the ice or the fishing, rather, on the ice around here. I'm sure people are still getting perch out in Portage like they have been. And Manistee Lake is wide open. If you want to go just jump in a boat and go out of Manistee Lake, there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that got that mindset right now. Manistee Lake this time of the year for perch can be on fire. Head over by the number 9 buoy or off the 9th Street boat launch. Up in those little shallower areas, 12 to 15 foot, you can find some nice perch in there on perch rigs. Minnows and wigglers, of course, are the weapon of choice in there. Hey, Leroy Dowding. Good to see you. Leroy, of course, is the owner-operator of Purple Taco Fly Supplies. I see he's on here in the chat. As far as pier fishing, I've heard some good things on pier fishing. Heard some brown trout being caught out on the piers. I don't know the techniques their people are using. I don't know if they're chucking spawn off the piers or just small spoons, or even stick baits. If it was me, I'd probably be chucking a combination of stick baits and small spoons. That would be what I would be doing right now. And I'm sure it won't be long until a few more boats are out on Lake Michigan, right out of Manistee. The launch is open. The area is open. Just be very, very careful if you're going to do that. Of course, the water is ice cold. If you go down in that water, hypothermia. I almost said hypothermia. It's like a Def Leppard album. Hypothermia is going to set in pretty quick if you get into that water. So be mindful of what you're doing out there. Be safe. And southern Michigan, I hear, is just absolutely ablaze right now for coho and lake trout. For all of you down that way, you're very, very lucky. I am taking it. I got invited to go on a charter down there. When was that? Early April, I believe it was. I got invited to hop on a charter down there with somebody, and they agreed to let me take the camera gear down there. So I'm really looking forward to that. River fishing around here has been decent. I've been hearing anything from a couple fish up to 10 fish landed a day, depending on where you're at and which boat. Plug bait plugs have been doing well, and beads have been doing well also, both on the upper and the lower sections. So I have a steelhead trip next weekend with a good friend of mine named Kyle McClellan. I don't know if you've seen Kyle's channel on here before, and I can't remember. I think he changed the name not long ago. Adventure Time or something like that. That sounds more like a cartoon. I forget what it is, but Kyle's an excellent river captain. I'm going out with him next weekend. Myself and my friend Brian are going out with him for a nice trip. I don't know. He hasn't told me if I can bring camera gear or not yet, so I'm waiting on word. Daniel Canham, good to see you. Just got in from ice fishing. Good. I'm trying to think what else we got going on around here for a fishing report. All right, guys and gals, that about sums it up. Of course, you know, as we get deeper into the salmon and trout season, these reports become much more detailed, much more intimate, and we'll have a lot more information. But I'm always happy to throw out whatever information it is that I do have. All right. Thanks, Dan. So Daniel Canham's on our Discord. He just said he's going to post the ice measurements. Dan, if you can, also post where you were fishing and whatnot. Try to give people an idea. That'd be wonderful. Reading some chat here. Mark McConney saying the Leroy's Purple Taco Fly is work in Alaska. I have no doubt that they would. Pulled in some fish while he was there. Caught salmon and rockfish on him. Adventure chasing. John Levitt just saved my bacon. Adventure Chasing is the name of Kyle's channel on YouTube. It's a good channel too. He does a nice job. No, Mike F. It's not Chrome Chasing or XXL Chrome Chasing anymore. Now it's Adventure Chasing, if I remember right. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we're gonna hop into this week's topic. If I remember which button to push. Remember, if you have questions, please hold them to the end. And again, once we shut down the actual live stream, the visual section, we will stay over. Or at least I'll stay over as long as people want to chat in the comment section, and then we'll end the show after that. But yeah, let's see if I can get us over into the topic of the week. Oops. There we go. Hit the wrong button for a second. I'm still figuring this thing out. I hope you're liking the graphics, some of the changes we've made to the channel. I'm enjoying it. I'm figuring things out as we go. But I am definitely enjoying some of these new features we got going on the channel. Let me know what you guys think also. So for this week's topic, finding a starting point. And what we mean by that is, where do we go? If I was brand new to, say, Manistee or Ludington or Pentwater or wherever, and I wanted to go out on the big lake and I wanted to find a starting point for salmon fishing, trout fishing, and whatnot. Let's stick more to salmon fishing. What would I do and how would I get there? So, guys, gals, you've heard me say this before. I'm going to say it again, and I'm a broken record here. I understand that, but there is no surefire thing that I can tell you where if I give you the exact coordinates and the exact lures and the exact speed, exact time, and you went out there and did all those things exactly that you would just jump on the fish. It's just not going to happen. There's ways you can stay on fish, and there's ways that you can start to figure out fish's habits and trends, and that comes with time. I'll tell you 3 things that can contribute to you putting more fish in the boat. And this is what I figured out. I figured out over the years. It's time on the water. I wrote these down so I wouldn't forget them. It's time on the water. It's knowledge of the water, means knowledge of the area, and it's knowledge of the fish habits, the way they move and the way they feed and what they're doing at certain times of the year. Those 3 things, you start putting those 3 things together, you're going to be on the right course to start figuring out where I can go at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, June, July, August, what baits are going to be working, what area is going to be working, what speed's going to be working. Those 3 things right there, time on the water, knowledge of the water, and knowledge of the fish's habits are going to get you in the right direction. And there's a bunch of other things you can throw in there as well. Weather conditions, like what the wind does to the water, what the wind does to the fishing. And I've talked about a lot of those things in the past on this channel. If you want to search those things back up, if you want to go back in and just look at a couple of weeks ago, I went over an entire seminar on how the wind affects these areas and what other things do and what you can do to put more fish in the boat. But those 3 things right there are going to get you in the right direction. And that's why people talk about charter boats. Charter boats catch all the fish. You know, these guys just have this 6th sense. These guys can just go out and fill up a boat all day long. And really, a charter boat, and I'm going to talk from my own experience, we're no different than anybody else out there. But the thing that separates us in some ways is the amount of time we spend out there. For first and foremost, when you're out there day after day chasing these fish around, and year after year also, because you're going to start seeing trends. You're going to start seeing what colors work at certain times of the year. And then you're going to be out there. I mean, I'm out there in August almost daily, a lot of times twice a day for long periods of time. You'll get on fish and you'll start figuring those fish's habits out. And you know, most likely based on this wind direction or that current, where these fish are going to move. And the way you start learning these things is, again, it's that time on the water. It's just time spent out there. The more time you can spend on something, the more you're going to be in tune with it. I mean, nobody is born knowing how to be a car mechanic, right? Or how to be a TV repairman or a computer analyst, anything. Nobody's born that way. A lot of people have intuition in those ways or in that mindset where people may be born to be a certain thing. Like not everyone can be born to be a rock star. Not everyone can be born to be a beautiful singer. Not everybody can be born to be, whatever. Some people are more in tune to those things, but nobody is born with that type of knowledge right off the bat. We all have to accumulate that knowledge in our minds and in our experience to start figuring these things out. So when I'm out there, say I'm running 10 days straight and I'm on a pot of fish, or I know that this pot of fish might be moving from north to south, south to north, east to west. I know they might be at this depth. I know that because I'm out there day after day after day after day. So a great way to start accumulating that knowledge is, one, go out there and do it yourself. And I know a lot of you can't do that. A lot of you full-time jobs. You can get over here on weekends or whatnot, maybe a couple times a year. I get that. I completely understand. Start reaching out and making network connections to people that can be when you're not there. Online sources such as this channel. I think this channel puts out a lot of really good information, a lot of really good fishing reports over the years. I've had a lot of people tell me that I've been able to get them on fish right away, and I'm happy to be able to do that. That's what this thing is all about. Other online sources, there's chat groups out there, there's forums out there. Our Discord is an excellent place as well. Be careful of the information that you get. Everybody wants to be the next Kevin Van Dam. Everybody wants to be the best out there. And I know that they're going to skew their information sometimes to make it seem like they are that person. So I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm just saying be careful of the knowledge that you take in because it may be false knowledge. So garner the information that you can carefully. Put it through a strainer and make sure that it comes out clean. You know what I mean? Almost made a rhyme there. You understand what I'm saying, though. Make sure that what the information that you're taking in is good information. So this channel is a great place to do it. Start making connections at your marina or at the boat launch or at the fish cleaning station or at the bait shop, Tangled, Tackle, and Manistee. I was in there one day and fishing had been tough for about a week. And there's about 5 people in the shop. I was in there spooling up a reel, I think. And this one poor guy, he walks in and he's looking through spoons. And one guy asked him, how you ever notice when people ask you how you did on the water just so they can tell you how they did on the water? You ever notice that? I notice that all the time. How'd you do? Oh, I got like 2. And before you can even like say however many you got, they're telling you how many they got. Anyway, this guy in the shop, the guy next to him asked, well, how'd you do? And he said, I think we got 1. How did you do? And the guy said, well, we got 5 this morning. And he about got mobbed by everybody in that shop that was in there shopping. Just piled on top of this guy. Where were you? What was your speed? What were you using? All the normal questions. I felt bad for the guy. But there's really good information to be obtained in bait shops. Don't be afraid to talk to the family next year, the guy next year, or whatnot. Make those connections. They're important. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I was going out, and there's times because I just retired from a full-time job. So there was stretches over the last summer and summers before that when I hadn't been out for 2 or 3 days or 4 days or 5 days. I'm making phone calls. I'm calling up other captains that I know, guys at my marina, guys at the shop, guys down in Ludington. I'm making those connections because I'm as lost as anybody else out there on those days. In my mind, I have an idea probably where I'm going to go, and that's going to be based on past experience, how I've done in certain places over the past years, the time of the year it is, where the fish are probably staging, a lot of information out there that you can start getting that mindset, start getting that plan. But I'm calling the people that I trust. Like Scott Argetsinger on here from DREAMWEAVER, I'm calling him. I'm calling Paul Schlafly from Riverside. I'm calling Greg from Dogbone. I'm calling Brian from Real Heroes. I'm calling boats that I know, and I know they're going to give me good information. They know I'm not going to come out there and vacuum up all the fish. Okay, that's anybody that hoards information that way. Really, shame on you. We're all out there to help each other. Nobody's going to go out there and catch every fish in the lake. Why not help each other out? But that's what I'm doing. If I'm not fishing for a week or so, I'm making phone calls. I'm stopping in the shop, talking to people just like anybody else. Well, hey, how'd you do today? Where were you at? Start garnering that information. Start putting it all up here in the filter, shake it up and see what comes out, and start getting that starting idea on where you want to go. Now, I talked about structure, and structure can play a huge part in where the fish are around Manistee and other areas. So I'm going to show you something here on the map, or on the screen rather. Make sure I get this to come up right. So I'm going to bring up make sure this comes up okay. One second, please. Well, this is working just fine a little while ago. Let me see if I can get this to, there we go. I think I got it now. Interesting. I don't know why this isn't working. All right, I think I got it now. All right, there we go. I have a map up right now. You should be able to see that just fine. So, make sure I got this all up to speed. All right. Make sure I got this going right. I apologize. I just want to make sure. Yep, there we go. Okay. So, this is a map of Lake Michigan. And this is running off of, this is the, I believe it's the Onyx map site. Yep, this is Onyx Maps. So, Onyx Maps is more for, I understand, for hunting inland. It's for topographical maps really on land, but they have a decent mapping system on the Great Lakes. Now, most of your chart plotters, your GPS fish finders are going to have this capability and probably a ton more. But I want to do this so I can show you something as far as structure, especially off Manistee, Onekama, Arcadia, Frankfort, Ludington. So if you look right here off Manistee, when I'm starting to look for structure on the Big Lake, especially, and fish love structure. Don't think they don't. All fish love structure. It gives them a little bit of lee, so they're not always fighting a current, but it also gives them little sabot or a little points where they can jump on bait fish. There was a word there I was looking for, and I couldn't find it for a moment. But you understand, if you look at this map right now, when you're looking for structure, it's normally in the tighter banded area. So I'm going to zoom in a little right here. And you can see right along this edge from 65, 70, 75, all of a sudden down to 110, 125, 135, 175 within the course of probably less than a mile, the way that is dropping off going from right to left. That is the shelf in Manistee. And the shelf runs, people also call it the bank. The shelf runs all the way from, if you come down here and look, pretty much all the way down to Big Point, where Ludington is, all the way up to, well, there's an easy way for me to show you here, actually. If you look at it this way, and we're on the shelf right now, down here by Ludington, starting in this area. And if you follow this, it's almost like a highway going to the north, all the way up to Frankfort and past. That tight lined section all the way through there is going to hold fish. And if you find other areas like that, I love looking for tight lined, tightly wound structure areas like that, because I know that those are either deep drop offs or some other contour in that way. That it's going to be holding some fish in that area. So I'm up here past Onekama now, right here out of Manistee. If you go out here and if you go out of Manistee in August, you're going to see about 400 boats from about this area coming along to about out to this area or down into this area, all working that shelf structure. And that's what gives Manistee its absolute bona fide world-class fishery. It's that structure, that bank right there. And guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, like I said, when it comes to structure, bank, things like that, look up the video that I have on this channel called Jargon Explained, Salmon Jargon Explained. It's going to help you understand a lot of these things. But so we're out of Manistee right now. Say if we want to go down and just take a look at some of the differences here on Lake Michigan. Say if we're down here in the Muskegon area. I've fished down here before. It's a completely different ball game down here. So out of Muskegon right now, You see we're 20 out to 70 out to 110. And now look at this giant flat all around Muskegon. This is just 100 foot, 105 foot, 95 foot, 100 foot. It's just a gigantic flat out there. There's no real structure there to hold those fish for a long period of time. If we keep going south, say we go down to, we go down around the Holland area. There's Benton Harbor. Same thing down here. Shallow, shallow, shallow. Not much structure out that way. South Haven, same way. Saugatuck, same way. Some lines of structure out here, not real tight though. Not like you're seeing up to the north. Port Sheldon, same way. Grand Haven, same way. Some little ports of structure here in Grand Haven. But really, it's not until you get up to off Big Point here, Ludington, when you really start seeing those lines of structure that are going to be holding the fish. Now, I see other areas in here as well. They're gonna pique my interest in some way. And I've fished these areas before. I've fished off. There's actually what people call 3 shelves. So you got the first shelf here. Second shelf runs off about 200 drop off into that big flat, and then you're going to get out here into your mega deep water. If you look right here, I mean, look at this structure right here with 240 surrounding it, coming up to 210 or 220 rather, 205. There's some really interesting points of structure through there that might be holding fish. If you want to run your boat out all that way, burn that gas if you need to. Just giving you examples here of other types of structure that might be of interest to you. Here's the herring hole right off of Frankfurt, where we're going from 30 feet to 70 feet. And I know it goes deeper than that in a very short period of time. That can hold fish as well. The barrel off Onekama, which I believe is, it looks like the barrel. We'll see. I believe that's the barrel, but they don't have the depth right on that. Interesting. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying here about structure. There are ways that you can, if I was just flying blind on a Tuesday morning, I didn't know really where to go. You're not going to go really wrong with looking at a map like this, a topo map like this, and finding a part of structure, comparing it with notes that you've had in the past, and heading for those areas. You're not going to go wrong doing those things. All right, back up and running here. Okay, so things to think about. Past experience, that's going to be gained from time on the water. Knowledge of the fish's habits and the way they work and the way they move and the way they feed, that's going to be gained also from time on the water. Knowledge of the water. Again, you can look at those maps. You can look at it that way. You can get knowledge that way. Also gained by time on the water. Salmon fishing is not easy. In a way, it is. When you get on the fish and you got the right baits down there, I mean, salmon fishing is not incredibly difficult. Anybody watching this channel, anybody can go out and catch fish. I absolutely believe in you. I know you can do it. But it's the little things that are going to turn your 2 fish day into a 15 fish day, or vice versa, or the other way. It's the little things that you're going to need to pick up on. So figure out the water, look at these maps, talk to people in your area, start making those network connections. I hope people on here are actually right now in the chat telling people that, hey, let's communicate later in the year. Let's get together. Here's my phone number. Here's my email. That's what this chat's for. Start making those connections. Come back to this channel, make further connections. If you can't be out there, talk to somebody that has been out there. All right? Go out there and just go for it too. Just go for it. Take all this knowledge and just go out there and start grinding it out. There's no replacement for experience, and there is no better teacher than failing. I will tell you that right now because I've done it a million times. And it's the failures that made me want to get back up and actually have some success. So go out there and fail. It's fine. We've all done it. We'll all continue to do it. Okay? One day you're going to go out there and things are going to start making sense to you if they haven't already. If you're brand new at this sport, don't get deterred. If you go out there for the first year and catch 5 fish for the entire year, who cares? Don't get deterred. You're going to start figuring it out. Go on a charter trip. Book a charter with a captain that's going to answer questions for you, going to let you learn as it goes. You will start figuring out things that way as well. Guys, gals, I know that this is not really probably the answer to this topic that you wanted, but when I sat down and started thinking about this, there was no 10-minute explanation where I could say, here's structure, here's the bait, go for it. It's just not going to work that way. It takes time. It takes time and it takes a little effort, and all these things start going beep, 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 beep up in your head, and things start working that way. Take good or take good notes. Keep good records. Talked about that in the past. Put dates on your waypoints. Start looking at all the data that's going to turn you on to where these fish might be at certain times of the year. Okay, compare these notes with your buddies. Compare them down at the local watering hole. All of that's good information. It's all good intel, and it's all going to pay off for you in the long run. Okay, and again, you might be PO to me right now, thinking this is all just garbage. You know, this guy came out here and just really gave me no way or nothing that's going to help me out in any way. I can assure you, you take this stuff, all this that I just gave you, in 2 years from now, you're gonna start going, okay, that makes a little more sense now. Okay, there's no immediate gratification when it comes to salmon fishing. If you're just starting off, you might go out there and have one fish or 100 fish. There's no immediate gratification. It takes a little time before you can take the training wheels off. All right. Okay. I'm going to open it up to Q&A right now. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. Scott Argetsinger, you're on here, please. Please throw in any of your 2 pennies that you want to. Anybody else that has something on their mind that I missed, I'm happy to be guided in the right direction. So please put it in the chat as well. Let's see what we got on here. As far as questions and chat, I'm sure I missed some chat while we were all talking. We got 180 people here. Thanks everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Hugh Merrill saying good notes are key. Yeah. Good notes are key. Been looking at your notes to decide what type of flies you want to tie. Yeah, it is. It's all that intel is wonderful. It's there staring you in the face. I've had this weird brain of mine forever. I've had this, I don't know what you want to call it, idiot savant or just idiot. I can tell you like songs from the 80s, especially. I could tell you normally what year they came out, who the artist is, and the name of the song. I've always been able to do that. When it comes to fishing, I've been lucky enough to have that kind of same mentality where I can remember back last August, and the conditions were like this, and I was over here. These kind of colors were working, and that doesn't make me better than anybody else in any way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just lucky enough to have that where I've never had to take a ton of notes. But if you are just starting off, take notes. Your fishhawk, if you're running a fishhawk X4D, there's a way to put your notes in your fishhawk. Pretty cool. Let's see here. Chris Olson wants to know what I'm drinking. It's just like a Kool-Aid mix, dude. It's all it is. Not even spiked in any way. Jay Winfield, what time of the day is better, first light or last light? In my opinion, Jay, both can be really good, but I think morning is typically the best producer. Adam London, that's a very nice comment that you just said. You said continuous learning and time on the water is so important. Says this show has been a big reason to your continued success. Thank you. I appreciate that. There's a great point right there. Captain Dan, or who's just said that? I missed it. I'm sorry. Somebody said join a fishing club. And yeah, Captain Dan, Luzak. Sorry, Dan. Join a fishing club, local tournaments. Yeah, that's another way. Tournaments, getting some tournaments. Start learning from those things too. Go be an observer in a tournament. That's a great way to go out there and get free information. Contact Tournament Trail. They're looking for observers in all their tournaments this year, or most of them rather. Yeah, Jeff Kenny. So you said looking for a report. You pretty much know what you want to know: depth of water and angle of the troll. Yeah, not a bad way to say things. Yeah, if you know really what depth they're at, and the fish hawk's going to help you out in that way, and your troll angle, your speed, yeah, that's going to help you out. Dale DeCourt saying, when I run out and find bait on the graph, is what I think he's saying. How much time do I spend looking before I set lines? Dale, honestly, my lines are going in almost immediately when I hit the water, or when I shut down the boat, rather. And that's based on, because normally I've been fishing for the last 4 or 5 days, and that's the area I know that I've been working, and that's the area that I know is most likely going to produce. Now, if I'm just going out, just flying by the seat of my pants, I might take a look at the graph for a few minutes before I start setting lines, or take a look at the fish hawk and see what the temps are. Fish hawk's going to be a little more important to me as far as temps, but I'm not that kind of guy where if I don't see something on the graph, it's a deal breaker for me. Usually, when I start trolling, I'm in the area probably where the fish are generally located, and I might not be sitting right on top of them right when I sit down, but there's a darn good chance I'm going to troll right into them. And don't forget, if I miss some of your questions here, once we shut down the actual visual part of the live stream, I'll be available to answer more questions on the chat. Yeah, Adam London, don't give up on midday fishing, especially if you got a full moon. Yeah, absolutely. Midday fishing when a full moon's out, it can be really good. Terry Bradshaw video on how a complete installation of a fish hawk. Maybe I've done something similar to that in the past, possibly. Teresa Flanders saying, nice way to rock a beard. Thank you. I'm not spending much on razors anymore, Teresa, since I've retired. Thank you. Jay Winfield, yeah, the fish hawk video. Yeah, I do have some videos on fish hawks already, but I can always be more flexible. Rick Wancourt saying your boat came with a depth rater. How much different is that from a fish hawk? So depth raters, if I remember right, have a coated downrigger cable that will send the information from the probe up to the head unit. Where in a fish hawk, you have a transducer on the back of the boat that picks up the signal. No more of those fancy coated cables that were such a pain in the kazoo back in the day. And I think, I'm just going to be blunt here, I think fish hawk technology is much, much better than depth rater technology. Just going to be blunt there. Huey Merrill. Yeah, I'm not a hot blonde, Hugh. You know that. I never will be. I'll never be hot anything. What that Jay Winfield, that's a good question. What's my favorite method for big fish? Meat, spoon, splash, or fly? So last year, Jay, the 3 30-pounders that we had over the course of last season, all three came on spoons. In seasons past, 30-pounder plus, my 30-pounder pluses have come on flash or fly and meat rigs and spoons and plugs. Every year is going to be a little different for you. I think tournament fishing, when I think about tournament fishing, of course, you want the bigger fish. Nothing beats a big paddle with a meat rig down deep for a big fish. Meat rigs just seem to produce, meat rigs and plugs seem to produce the bigger fish over the course of, I don't know, last 10 years, 15 years, something like that. But last couple of years, it's been all over the place. Rick Wancourt, now he wants to sell his depth rater. Man, you might find a tough crowd in here. So James is asking, what do I mean full moon makes fishing good midday? So James, if you think about a full moon, fish eat just like you and I. You know, they have 4 or 5 meals a day. Some people have more, including me. They typically will feed right when the sun comes up. They will feed again midday sometime. Could be anywhere from, I don't know, 11 o'clock to like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, something like that. And then they'll typically come back up and put the feed back on close to evening time when the sun's going down. So a full moon really allows salmon to eat throughout the entire night. They have no problem finding bait fish due to that illumination. So By the time the sun comes up, they might not be in the mood to be eating anymore. They might eat a little later in the day, like an hour or two after sunset. And then their lunch break is going to come a little later in the day as well. So that 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. might be on fire for you, 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock, something like that. So that's what I mean by that. Scott Cleveland wants to know: Have you ever put info out getting the boat approved by the DNR for charter fishing biz? No, I've put out information as far as becoming a charter captain and the process for that, but not as far as I imagine or I think you must be talking about the safety equipment that's required by the DNR. No, I've never done that. Not a bad idea. All right, we are. How long are we into this thing? Where's my time on here? I can't really find it. It's on here. Oh, there we are. 56 minutes. That's crazy. All right, let's shut down the visual part of this thing. Everybody, I really appreciate you being here. I can't tell you how much I do appreciate everybody clicking on the video every week. I'm always happy to sit down here and talk fishing with everybody. Let's shut down the visual part of this thing. We'll go into the chat section, and anybody who wants to stick around for a while, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, if you got to get out of here, thanks for being here. We'll be back next Sunday at 7 p.m. and maybe something in the meantime before then. If you got any questions, let's jump into the chat, and we will answer some questions there. Thanks, everybody. I really do appreciate it.